Hey everyone. Welcome to AfriHeart Stories, your go-to spot for African tales. Don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. Now sit back and enjoy. Talia's fingers trembled as she held the sleek black envelope. Gold cursive across the front read, Class of 2010 High School Reunion, you're invited. She hadn't heard from any of them in years, not since her ugly divorce from Jide, the man she once loved with everything. She placed the envelope down and stared at the window. Lagos felt different these days. Calmer. Brighter. Or maybe it was her. She had come so far from the heartbroken woman she once was. But seeing Jide again? I won't go, she muttered to herself. From the kitchen, Daniel's voice floated in, won't go where? She hadn't noticed him enter. He leaned casually against the doorway in a plain white shirt and dark slacks. Tall, dark-skinned, effortlessly confident. A man who didn't need to speak loud to command a room. Talia handed him the envelope. My high school reunion. They invited everyone, including Jide. Daniel read silently, then raised a brow. Is this the same Jide who thought you were too basic to stand by him? Talia gave a small laugh, bitterness still clinging. Yes, that one. Daniel's lips curved slightly. Well, maybe it's time he sees the woman you became. Talia turned away. I don't want drama. Daniel walked over, cupping her cheek gently. Then let him drown in his own silence. You don't owe anyone a show. But if you do go, you won't be alone. You'd come with me? I'm your husband, Talia. Not a secret weapon. But if showing up with the man who built a hotel empire scares a few ghosts, so be it. Talia smiled, a little more courage seeping in. He always thought I'd be nothing. Then let's show him you became everything. They both knew it wasn't about revenge. Not really. Talia had built a life. A successful PR firm. A quiet, fulfilling marriage. A new identity. But something in her still burned, still wanted closure. I'll think about it, she finally said. Daniel nodded. Take your time. But if you go as you are now. A queen. Not someone seeking validation. Later that night, as Talia sat alone in her home office, she pulled out her old yearbook. Her photo stared back, young, shy, hopeful. Next to hers, Jide's, charming, smug, and selfish. She remembered the way he laughed the night he walked out. How he introduced his mistress, Rena, just a week later. How he made her feel small at their final meeting, calling her a step back. She reached for her phone and opened the RSVP link. Her finger hovered. Then click. Yes, she whispered. Let's do this. In the dim light, her phone buzzed with confirmation. The reunion was just 2 weeks away. And this time, she wouldn't be the one looking down. Talia stirred her morning tea slowly, watching the swirl of mint leaves dance in the mug. Daniel had left early for a business trip, giving her space to think. But her thoughts drifted backward like a tidal wave, straight to the day Jide shattered her world. She had just been laid off from her bank job, barely holding it together. Jide had come home late and reeking of expensive perfume. I'm tired of carrying dead weight, he had said bluntly. You're not who I thought you'd be. Talia stared at him, stunned. Jide, what are you talking about? You've let yourself go. No ambition. No spark. Just basic, he snapped. Those words haunted her for years. After he left, she fell into a spiral of self-doubt. Friends vanished. Family pitted her. The only thing that kept her going was the question, what if he was right? But something inside refused to break completely. She remembered the nights she'd cried herself to sleep, then woke up to study for PR certifications. The time she pitched her first brand campaign while shaking in worn heels. The moment she signed her first major client and realized she didn't need Jide's approval. She just needed her own fire. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend, Remy. Rem, girl, if you're going to this reunion, you better not wear anything less than a fire gown. I will drag you myself. Talia chuckled. Talia, noted. Already planning. Still, her thumb hovered over a different name, Jide's. She hadn't spoken to him in years. Didn't plan to. But she couldn't help scrolling through his socials. His page showed vacations with Rena, motivational quotes, photos of a new car. The captions always felt performative. Hard work pays. Upgrade your circle. She snorted. Empty boast. No substance. And yet, the wounds he left hadn't completely healed. Some part of her still craved acknowledgement, not from him but from herself. She wanted to stand in that reunion and feel nothing. That would be her real victory. Suddenly, her door creaked open. Her assistant, Lami, peeked in. Ma, your dress fitting is scheduled for 5 p.m. today at House of Nao. Talia nodded. Thanks, Lami. I'll be there. She turned back to her tea, now cold. It wasn't just a dress fitting. It was armor. Because this time she wouldn't be the same woman who begged a man to love her. She'd be the woman he'd never be able to forget. Talia stood in front of the mirror, the navy blue dress hugging her frame perfectly. House of Neo had outdone themselves. The deep neckline was tasteful, powerful. Regal. Stunning, the designer whispered, adjusting the shoulders. Talia gave a soft smile. It feels like I'm looking at a different person. You are, Lami replied proudly. That woman in the mirror owns a PR firm, speaks at conferences, and walks beside one of the most powerful CEOs in Africa. Talia sat down carefully, touching her necklace. She remembered buying it on a random trip to South Africa with Daniel. Simple. Elegant. Like him. Their love wasn't loud. It didn't demand attention. Daniel had met her when she was rebuilding, quietly, awkwardly, with more wounds than confidence. He never pushed. Never pitted. He asked her one question that changed everything. Who do you want to become? From there, everything shifted. The late nights became strategy meetings. The solo meals turned into dinner dates filled with laughter. And over time, the fear in her eyes faded. He proposed on a beach in Mauritius. Just them. No audience. Just honesty. Now, 2 years later, she was still private about their marriage. Not out of shame, but protection. She never needed to flaunt her happiness. It was hers. Sacred. But this reunion? It wasn't about revenge. It was a closing chapter. Her phone buzzed again. Daniel, how's the dress? Send me a pic. Talia, you'll see it in person. Smiling face with smiling eyes. He replied instantly. Daniel, whatever you wear, you'll still be the most powerful woman in the room. She laughed softly. Her heart fluttered, not from nerves but from gratitude. She stood again, facing her reflection. Rejected? Yes, once. But now, she was respected. And that was the kind of beauty no one could deny. In a luxury apartment across town, Jide buttoned up his shirt in front of a wall-length mirror. Babe, which watch should I wear? He called out. Rena walked in, draped in silk, holding her phone. The Rolex. Let them know we didn't come to play. He grinned, sliding the watch on. Exactly my thought. They were preparing for the reunion like it was a red carpet event. For Jide it was a stage. His chance to flex. Money, woman, lifestyle. Especially in front of Talia. She'll probably come in some office dress, he chuckled. Still trying to be relevant. Rena laughed. Didn't you say she begged you not to leave her? Oh, she cried. Said I was her whole world. And now? She's probably still clinging to her old job. That girl was never built to rise. But as he said it, something inside him shifted, just for a second. He remembered the way Talia used to believe in him. How she stayed up designing his pitch decks. How she celebrated his wins louder than he ever did. But he buried the thought. That version of her was long gone. Now it was all about the spotlight. Rena posed beside him for a selfie. Caption? She asked. Power couple takes the town. He smiled confidently. Let's remind these people what winning looks like. 2 days before the reunion, Daniel entered the living room with a grin. Pack a bag, he said. Talia looked up from her laptop, confused. Why? He tossed her a small envelope. It read, Flight itinerary, Daniel's heir. You booked a flight? He smirked. Not just a flight. We're taking the jet. Her mouth dropped open. Daniel? You didn't think I'd let you arrive like anyone else, did you? She stood, laughing. That's excessive. It's intentional. You're not just attending a reunion. You're returning as a woman who owns her narrative. And besides, he kissed her hand, the hotel hosting the reunion? It's under my company. Her jaw dropped again. You're joking. I never joke about property, he teased. When they landed, the hotel manager personally greeted them. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Daniels. Talia blinked. They know. Daniel winked. Now they do. As they were escorted to the penthouse suite, Talia felt a calm confidence wash over her. This wasn't just a trip back home. It was her quiet revolution. The reunion ballroom buzzed with energy, bright lights, elegant decor, soft jazz music playing beneath the laughter of old classmates reconnecting. Then the doors opened. All conversation stopped. First, Daniel entered, tall, composed, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit. He held Talia's hand as she followed beside him, her navy blue gown shimmering under the lights. Heads turned. Eyes widened. Jide was mid-sentence when he caught sight of them. His glass paused mid-air. No way. Rena, in a tight glittery gold dress, followed his gaze. Who's that with her? Jide didn't answer. His face twitched. The crowd instinctively parted as Daniel and Talia walked in, graceful, quiet, and composed. The kind of entrance that didn't need noise to demand attention. Talia? Someone gasped. Isn't that Daniel Nwokoji? A few phones came out discreetly. Talia kept her head high, face calm. Inside, her heart pounded, but not from fear. It was from release. She had just stepped into the same space that once saw her crumble. And now, she owned the air in it. Daniel leaned close. You're shaking. She whispered, I'm not scared. Just remembering. You're doing amazing, he said, then kissed her hand gently. Across the room, Jide clenched his jaw. She's just showing off, Rena whispered, brushing imaginary dust off his shoulder. Jide forced a smile. Let's say hi. Wow. Talia, Jide said as he approached, a smirk on his lips and uncertainty in his eyes. Didn't expect to see you here. Looking expensive. Jide, she greeted coolly, her tone unreadable. He turned to Daniel. And this is? Daniel extended his hand calmly. Daniel. Talia's husband. Jide blinked, startled. Oh, husband. Yes, Talia said smoothly. For 2 years now. Rena appeared beside Jide and gave a fake smile. Hi, I'm Rena. Talia offered a polite nod but said nothing. Jide chuckled awkwardly. So, this is what you've been up to, huh? Impressive. I always knew you had potential. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Funny. I married her because she's not potential, she's power. Jide stiffened. Rena's smile dropped a fraction. A few classmates nearby pretended not to listen. Oh, I see, Jide muttered. So you're a CEO, right? Daniel didn't flinch. Several companies. Hotels, logistics, media. Jide's voice cracked slightly. Nice. Talia's expression remained unshaken. We should go mingle. Enjoy the reunion. Daniel gave a nod and gently led her away. Behind them, Rena whispered to Jide, Why didn't you tell me she married that Daniel? I didn't know, he mumbled. And for the first time that night his confidence faltered. The photo wall was bustling with classmates taking group pictures, laughing and catching up. A photographer motioned to Talia and Daniel. Can we get one of you too? He asked. Daniel smiled. Of course. Talia stood confidently beside him, her hand on his chest. The flash went off. More flashes followed. People started whispering. Wait, is that the Talia that used to date Jide? No way. That's Daniel Nwokoji with her? Rena stood off to the side, scrolling through her phone, then paused. One of her friends had already posted the picture online. The caption read, Glow up of the decade. Is that Talia? The comments rolled in. She married that Daniel? Now Jide's eating humble pie. She aged like royalty. Rena's stomach turned. They're making fun of us. Jide's face tightened as he refreshed his feed. The likes were piling up. The photo was trending among old classmates. He tried to play it cool. But the room was already shifting, and they weren't the center of it anymore. Talia made her way through the ballroom, stopping occasionally to exchange smiles with classmates. Some she remembered fondly. Others had mocked her during her divorce. Now they greeted her with admiration. Talia, you look amazing. You're glowing. She nodded politely, still taking it all in. Behind her, Rena sat at a table, fuming. You didn't say she was rich, she hissed at Jide. I didn't know, he said under his breath. She was nothing after we split. Rena scoffed. She's everything now. Jide's ears rang with whispers. She really upgraded. Did you see that dress? Class. She's the winner, clearly. He tried to act unbothered, sipping his drink, but each murmur felt like a dagger. Talia walked past him again, unintentionally. A classmate beside him muttered, Bro, she really came back strong. That broke him. He stood abruptly and stormed out to the restroom. His reflection stared back, flushed, sweaty and clearly losing. Dinner was served. The round tables filled with laughter and toasts, but the tension between Jide and Talia crackled beneath it all. Jide pulled out a chair across from Talia and Daniel. So, he began loudly, Mr. Billionaire, what made you fall for her? Daniel looked up calmly. She's the most brilliant woman I've ever met. Kind. Driven. Unshaken. Jide smirked. So, not just a sponsor deal, huh? The table hushed. Daniel chuckled softly. I sponsor nations, not women. Talia doesn't need rescuing. She's the empire. Gasps circled the table. Talia sipped her wine quietly, eyes locked on Jiday's. He blinked, speechless. "Excuse me," Rena whispered, grabbing her purse. She stood up and walked out, eyes glossy. Jiday turned, startled. "Rena." The moment cracked open. Classmates began murmuring again. Talia leaned to Daniel, voice low. "Was that too much?" He smiled. "Just enough." Across the table, Jiday sat alone, again. Outside the banquet hall, Rena sat on the stone railing near the fountain, heels off, wiping her eyes. She had expected a grand evening. She had rehearsed poses, imagined herself outshining everyone. But no one was looking at her. They were too busy whispering about Talia. Jiday caught up with her. "Rena, what are you doing out here?" She turned sharply. "You told me she was a nobody." "She was," he said, breathless. "Back then?" "Well, she isn't now." Rena snapped. "She walked in with a billionaire. Everyone's talking about her. I'm just your arm candy. Your backup plan." Jiday rubbed his forehead. "You're overreacting." "No, I'm not," she shot back. "You dragged me here to parade me around like a trophy just to compete with your ex-wife. You used me." He raised his hands. "Calm down." "Don't tell me to calm down, Jiday," she said, voice cracking. "You didn't just humiliate yourself tonight. You humiliated me." Before he could respond, she grabbed her heels and marched away, head high, tears streaming. Guests inside turned toward the commotion as the doors swung shut behind her. Jiday stood frozen. Whispers started again. And this time, everyone was looking at him. After dinner, Talia slipped outside to the balcony. The cool night breeze soothed her. She leaned on the railing, taking it all in, the laughter, the music, the strange full-circle moment. She didn't hear the footsteps until he spoke. "Talia." She turned. "Jiday." His eyes were tired now. His shirt was rumpled. His swagger had drained. "I needed to say something," he said softly. "I messed up." She raised an eyebrow. "You think?" "I didn't know how good I had it," he continued, hands in pockets. You were always solid. You saw me before I saw myself. And I threw that away." She stayed silent. "I thought Rena was what I wanted. The fun. The excitement. But she never saw me the way you did. She didn't believe in me the way you did." Talia looked at him, eyes calm. "Jiday," she said. "You didn't lose me because you didn't know my worth. You lost me because you didn't care to learn it." He swallowed. "I'm sorry." She nodded once. "I accept your apology." He looked hopeful. "But that doesn't change anything," she added. Pause. "Good night, Jiday." She turned and walked back inside, head high. He stood alone again. Back inside, Daniel spotted her immediately. She floated across the room, her grace effortless. He extended his hand as she approached. "May I have this dance?" She smiled. "I thought you'd never ask." The music slowed into a mellow jazz tune. The lights dimmed. All eyes slowly turned toward them. Daniel pulled her gently into his arms, their movements natural, fluid. She rested her head on his chest. "You okay?" he whispered. "I am now," she said. Guests whispered, smiled, even took videos. There was no flash or flare, just genuine affection, rare and unmistakable. "This isn't about proving anything," he said quietly. She looked up. "I know. It's about celebrating who you've become. And who we are." She nodded, eyes misting. "Thank you for walking beside me." "Always," he replied. They danced like no one was watching, even though everyone was. And for the first time in years, Talia felt entirely seen. Glasses clinked. The MC raised a mic. "To round up tonight, we invite anyone to offer a final toast." Daniel stood. Talia's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" He winked. "Don't worry." He walked to the center. "I don't usually speak at things like this," he began, his voice commanding but warm. "But tonight is special, for many reasons." People quieted, eyes locked on him. "I've met many powerful people. Traveled across the world. Built companies. But the strongest person I know isn't in a boardroom, she's right here beside me." He turned toward Talia. "My wife." Murmurs rippled. She was broken once. Humiliated. Betrayed. But instead of folding, she rebuilt herself. Smarter. Stronger. Classier. So tonight. He raised his glass. "To the women who rise from ashes, build empires from pain, and smile with grace while doing it. I married one." The room erupted in applause. Talia blinked back tears. Across the room, Jiday sat alone. No glass, no cheers. Only silence. Later that night, in a dim hotel lobby, Rena pulled her suitcase behind her. She had booked a separate room in the same hotel, but she wasn't staying another second. Jide caught up with her as she waited for a ride. "Rena, please," he said breathless. "Let's talk." She looked at him blankly. "What's left to say?" "I made a mistake," he said. "I shouldn't have." "No," she interrupted. "You didn't just make a mistake. You made a pattern. You used me to feed your ego." He opened his mouth, but she raised her hand. "I thought I was replacing someone who wasn't good enough for you," she continued. "Turns out I was only ever a distraction. And she's everything you said she wasn't." Jide exhaled, defeated. Her ride arrived. As she stepped in, she turned back. "Good luck, Jide. But I'm done being the supporting actress in your sad little drama." The door shut. The car pulled away. And Jide was left in the glow of the hotel lights, utterly alone. By morning, the photos had exploded online. One group shot, Talia in her navy gown beside Daniel, hand in hand, radiant, had gone viral. At Niger Elite, "This reunion glow-up is insane. That's billionaire Daniel Nwokoji's wife? Talia? Wow." At Wahala Diaries, plot twist. Ex-husband came to shame her. Ended up watching her flex her empire in silence. Talia sat in bed, scrolling slowly, stunned. Her inbox was flooded. PR interviews, TV hosts, women's networks all reaching out. She showed Daniel her phone. He chuckled. "The world just met the woman I've always known." She blushed. "This wasn't the plan." "No," he replied, "but sometimes destiny has better PR than you ever could." Her assistant Lami called. "Ma, the media is requesting a statement. Something inspiring. Something empowering." Talia thought for a second, then replied, "We let success do the talking. That's our statement." She hung up, tossed the phone aside, and curled up beside Daniel. "This isn't revenge," she murmured. "It's relief." He kissed her forehead. "And the best part? You didn't even need to try." The two lay in silence, watching the city awaken outside the hotel suite window, peacefully victorious. Later that afternoon, Talia stepped out into the hotel garden for a breather. She was halfway through her cappuccino when she heard a hesitant voice. "Talia?" She turned. "Miriam." One of the old classmates who had once gossiped about her behind her back. Back then, Miriam laughed the loudest when Jide publicly mocked her at an alumni event. Talia raised an eyebrow. "Miriam. I just wanted to say," she swallowed, eyes misty. "I was cruel. Back then. And I'm sorry." Talia didn't speak. "I was projecting," Miriam continued. "You were brave. I was scared. I used mockery to cover my own failures. But seeing you last night, you gave me hope. That it's not too late to change." Talia finally said, "It takes strength to apologize." "Thank you." "I still have a long way to go," Miriam whispered. Talia gave a faint smile. "We all do. But admitting you need growth? That's the first step." They stood in silence for a moment, two women who had once walked different paths, now facing the truth together. Healing had begun. The reunion was over. The hotel staff escorted Daniel and Talia to the private terminal. Paparazzi tried snapping shots from outside the gates, but the security detail was tight. As they boarded the jet, Talia looked back one last time at the city skyline. "Feels strange," she said. "Leaving?" "No. That I don't feel hate anymore." Daniel sat beside her as the engines roared to life. "You left with your dignity. That's more powerful than revenge." She looked down at her ring, twisting it thoughtfully. "I spent years rebuilding, thinking I'd still feel empty if I saw him again. But now, I just feel free." Daniel turned to her and gently lifted her chin. "You didn't win because you made him feel small. You won because you remembered how big your worth always was." Talia smiled. As the plane lifted off, Lagos disappeared beneath the clouds. So did the past. All that remained was her next chapter. Jide sat alone in his apartment, dim lights barely flickering. His phone buzzed, another notification. Another viral photo of Talia. He scrolled in silence. She was laughing in every shot. Genuinely. It stung. Not because she had money. Or status. But because she had peace and he didn't. He opened an old album. A photo of her from their early days. Natural. Unfiltered. She used to look at him like he was the sun. He had traded that for applause from strangers. He opened his fridge. Empty. His mind. Even emptier. Rena was gone. The reunion buzz faded. The media wasn't talking about him. He sat on the couch, clutching a photo of himself and Talia from 6 years ago. A whisper left his lips. I didn't know she was gold. But he had melted it down for tin. And now, she was everything. And he was no one. 2 weeks later, Talia stood backstage at the Global Women in Power Conference. Cameras flashed. The audience buzzed. She was the keynote speaker. Daniel stood in the front row, dapper and proud. She stepped up to the podium. I was once told I was too simple. That I lacked ambition. That I wasn't enough, she began. And for a while I believed it. The crowd fell silent. But pain is not your ending. It's your refining fire. Heads nodded. Tears formed. Success is not about proving anyone wrong. It's about honoring who you've always been underneath the scars. Applause thundered. Today I stand here not just as a businesswoman, but as someone who reclaimed her name, her dignity, her voice. She looked at Daniel, their eyes locking. Because the right love will never dim your light, it will hand you the switch. Standing ovation. Talia stepped down from the stage. Daniel met her halfway. Ready to go? He asked. She smiled. I already did. Together they exited through the curtains, her past behind her, and the world ahead. Liked it? Thumbs up, subscribe and join the AfriHeart fam. Your support fuels our stories. Until next time.